Hey Rebecca.
Welcome to another IRiQ Talking IR. And we're here today to talk about junior rates and the recent decision in the Fair Work Commission about junior rates. Do you want to tell us about that decision?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, and I should say that we've run a couple of articles on our website about the decision and the rationale for it. But in summary, the SDA lodged an application back in June 2024 seeking a review of junior rates in 3 awards: the General Retail Award, the Fast Food Industry Award and the Pharmacy Industry Award. The proposal was to increase the percentages of the adult rate paid to certain juniors of a certain age, but also to increase the adult rate to apply in full when a person turned 18, rather than the traditional 21 years of age. Yeah.
Right, and for context, this is dealing with historical overlays on the award system and doesn't recognise, and this decision deals with that when a person turns 18, they're an adult for all purposes except the assessment of wages. So tell us a bit about what are the implications for this decision.
So the decision, and it was constituted by a full bench, so we had Deputy President Butler, Commissioner Lee and Commissioner Harper Greenwell who looked at this. There were a number of submissions, 87 witnesses brought forward to give evidence. It was really about whether juniors were in fact juniors. So as you mentioned, in the grand scheme of things, you turn 18, you can go to the local pub and have a drink, you can vote. Traditionally, that was when you turned 21. Now that's quite a few years ago now, but the junior rates, the argument from the SDA was that that wasn't keeping track with what was happening in reality. Their view was that once you turned 18, you should be paid the adult rate of pay because you are in fact an adult at law.
And there might have historically been a view that even though you were 18, you might not have been as productive, or you may have been learning in the role, and so that didn't justify being paid on par with somebody who was 25, for example.
That's correct. And there was also the element in the 1980s about making junior employees attractive to employers, so they could get their foot in the door and have a go, get the experience and then learn up. And then when they were 21, they would have that experience, so the full 100% adult rate would apply. Yes.
Makes sense if you're an employer and you're investing in training up young employees. But what was the counter argument, or what was the thrust of what the SDA said was the justification for making this change?
Their argument centred on the fact that a 17-year-old, 18, 19, 20, 25-year-old can all be doing the same tasks, duties, responsibilities. And if you had an 18-year-old doing the same job as a 25-year-old, they should be paid the same rate of pay.
Yeah, okay. And this is in the context of fast food, general retail and pharmacy industry.
Yes. It's the customer-facing type of role. It's the cash handling aspect of it, and that carries some responsibility.
Okay. But by and large, I suppose if you're flipping burgers at McDonald's, let's say, they're all systemised processes, right? And so the view that I imagine the SDA takes is, well, they're not overly complex jobs, so it's probably quite difficult to differentiate between why somebody who's 18 should be paid less than another adult doing effectively the same work.
Yes. So it's really interesting, this decision, and it's only, what we do have is a provisional timetable for change.
Right.
Where you will see an increase over a period of time for 18-year-olds to receive 100% of the adult rate.
So talk us through that.
Yeah. Can I first mention that this is just limited to these 3 awards. Any other award, there's no change that's proposed. However, this might be the start of it.
Indeed.
And I'd also say that in some industries, and I'm referring in particular to hospitality, 18-year-olds already receive the adult rate if they're serving and dispensing alcohol. So there are nuances for awards.
Within specific industries.
Yeah. But this is definitely limited to these 3 awards, and it may see, you know,
it may open the door,
for
so to speak.
For other unions to look at other based awards. So the proposal that the Commission, the full bench, is looking at is that from December of this year, there will be that staggered approach. So currently an 18-year-old would be on 70% of the adult rate. It would go to 75% in December, July 2027, 80%, December 85%, again in July 2028, 90%, 95%, and July 2029 being when 100%, like the full adult rate.
Fairly long lead-in time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very long lead-in time,
Yes.
although it does represent a significant change to how large or small organisations in these industries will remunerate their workforce, so an increased cost burden.
Yes.
What was the view of employers in the submissions in relation to that cost burden?
Well, that was something of concern to employer groups who made submissions, that this was going to put an additional impost on employers, and it may result in some changes to the demographics of how employers looked at employing people. I think certainly there were concerns about school-aged children being able to get that 3-hour shift a couple of times a week after school. If they were to be paid at 18 years of age, the full adult rate. So would that mean the employer would then make a decision based on supporting local kids from the local high school in their regional town? So those concerns were definitely raised as part of this, but ultimately the full bench's provisional view is that you're an adult at 18, and with that staggered time frame, admittedly 3 years from now, 3.5 years, ultimately the Commission saw the need to recognise if someone is doing the same job 18 years of age to 21 years of age, then they'll get paid the same rate of pay. Employers will need to obviously think about what that means for their particular business, the size of the business, location will be an issue as well. But yeah, this is what we're looking at, and I think we'll see a finalisation of this in a little while. But certainly, I think from employers, they need to be across this. They need to know what it means, and to understand. The other thing with under 18 is that they won't receive 100% of the adult rate, but the percentage might differ a bit. So currently you might have a 15-year-old who receives 45%, that will go up to 50%, for example. So those little things will need to be carefully...
So there's been some tweaks.
Yes.
And paying attention to that detail will be important,
particularly
in a heightened wage compliance sort of era, because I've no doubt that we'll see the SDA looking to be checking that compliance is squared up.
Absolutely, and it might become a priority for the Fair Work Ombudsman as well. They often have priority industries. This might be one for juniors, because junior employees are viewed as part of the vulnerable worker cohort.
Yeah, that's true. And so more important than ever, I think, to be familiar with in your particular industry what award provisions apply, what rates schedules apply, and when they get updated, but particularly in fast food, retail and pharmacy industry in particular.
Yes, those 3 awards, there's definitely some movement happening there. So the General Retail Industry Award, Fast Food Industry Award, Pharmacy Industry Award. We'll wait and see what happens with the other awards.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if there's a flow-on effect there, which wouldn't be entirely surprising. Thanks, Jo.
Okay.